Here's the nitty-gritty of this episode. We start off with Kobayashi, your average millennial working at a programming company, waking up with a massive hangover. Ouch, we've all been there, right? She's all set for another thrilling day at the office when, out of nowhere, a freaking dragon lands in front of her apartment. Talk about unexpected visitors. But hold up, it gets even crazier. This dragon, who goes by the name Tohru, has a quick magical makeover and turns into a human. Yep, just your everyday dragon to human transformation. No biggie. At first, Kobayashi is like, whoa, hold up, this has to be some weird dream, right? But hey, reality can be stranger than fiction, so she decides to roll with it and lets Tohru in. Tohru drops a bombshell. Kobayashi saved her life. Apparently, our hangover-stricken heroine did something heroic, and now Tohru is indebted to her. So what's Tohru's grand plan to repay the favor? Becoming Kobayashi's maid. Yep, you heard that right, a dragon maid. Time to add some mythical creatures to the cleaning crew. Kobayashi isn't too keen on the idea at first, but life has a funny way of forcing your hand. Just as Tohru is about to leave, Kobayashi realizes she's running late for work. She needs a lift, and who better to give her a lift than a dragon with wings, am I right? So they take to the skies, with Kobayashi reluctantly agreeing to give the whole dragon maid thing a shot. Talk about an unconventional commute. Fast forward to the training montage. Kobayashi tries to whip Tohru into shape as a proper maid, but let's just say it's a struggle. Tohru's cleaning skills are a little, let's call it unique. Laundry, not her fort. Greeting guests, yeah, that needs work too. And don't even get me started on her cooking. Let's just say she's a fire hazard in the flesh, and not in a good way. Like, she's more of a mess maker than a housekeeper, bless her heart. But our girl Kobayashi is surprisingly patient and trusts Tohru enough to leave her home alone. Here's where things take a wild turn. Tohru's still clueless about this whole maid gig, and decides to phone a dragon friend, Fafnir, for some advice. What does she get? A brilliant suggestion to kill trespassers. Thanks, but no thanks, Fafnir. This suggestion may work in medieval times, but not so much in our day and age. As though luck would have it, right after that phone call, two wannabe robbers try to break into Kobayashi's pad, thinking it's empty and an easy steal. But guess who's there to defend the fort? Yep, it's Tohru, back in her dragon form, scaring those thieves senseless. A little later, without knowing it, Kobayashi herself witnesses the thieves turning themselves in, blabbering about some monster encounter. Like, can you imagine being clueless about the epic dragon showdown that went down in your own crib? I'd pay to see her face when she finds out, but let's move on. So after a long day of adulting, Makoto Takiya, Kobayashi's co-worker, hits her up for some after-work fun. What's on the menu? Many drinks, my friends. But hold up, as they're getting ready to jet off, they spot Tohru lurking in the shadows. She introduces herself as Tohru Kobayashi to Takiya, trying to intimidate him. But Kobayashi claims Tohru is her cousin that she's babysitting. Sure, her cousin, yeah.
Bruh.
Now, Tohru's not about to miss out on the party train, so she tags along. She's convinced that Takiya's trying to steal Kobayashi away from her. The jealousy is real. They hit the bar, and Tohru gives Takiya the icy treatment while Kobayashi and Takiya dive deep into programming talk. Let me tell you, even I couldn't keep up with their geeky IT speak. Poor Tohru doesn't stand a chance. Eventually, Tohru reaches her boiling point and is ready to give Takiya the boot for good. But out of nowhere, drunk Kobayashi steps in like a party superhero. She starts ripping into Tohru for her cosplay-level maid outfit, and Takiya joins in for the roast fest. At first, I couldn't believe they did Tohru dirty like that. I mean, I felt bad for her, and it's like witnessing a fashion disaster unfold. They drag Tohru into the conversation, and it all culminates in her getting stripped of her outfit. But wait, there's a secret reveal. After they leave the bar, Takiya drops a bombshell. He and Kobayashi are secret maid fanatics. They geek out over maid stuff in their secret clubhouse, sipping drinks and discussing all things maid-related. It's like a hidden society of maid enthusiasts. And in return for that jaw-dropping secret, Tohru spills the beans that she's a dragon herself. Shocked, right? Takiya promises not to get in the way of her and Kobayashi's dragon maid love fest. The next day, Kobayashi catches Tohru in the act of licking her clothes to clean them. Yep, she's at it once more. Kobayashi decides it's time for a laundry intervention. Tohru's doing fine until she gets to the part where she puts the clothes in her mouth. Yet again. Yikes, maybe that's not the best laundry technique. Tohru. Kobayashi also points out that Tohru never changes her clothes. I mean, let's be real, a wardrobe upgrade wouldn't hurt, right? Right on the kawaii fashion moments. Tohru fires back with the ultimate excuse. Her clothes are her scales, so they'll never get dirty. Alright, Tohru, we'll let that one slide. She does happily accepts a new outfit from Kobayashi as a token of appreciation for all her hard work. And hey, I have to admit she looks pretty fly in it. No dragon bias here, I promise. Before heading out to work, Kobayashi takes on the role of the internet guru and teaches Tohru how to navigate the web. Her mission? Research hygiene. She tries calling Fafnir again, but let's just say he's not the best advisor. So she dials up Quetzalcoatl, who breaks down hygiene in terms even a dragon can understand. Who knew dragons needed hygiene tips? Talk about being down to earth, Luco. Alright, get ready for the grand finale. After mastering the art of laundry, Tohru finds herself facing yet another obstacle. The uncooperative weather. She's like, seriously, these cloudy skies are messing with my laundry game. But hold up, fam, because this dragon maid isn't one to back down from a challenge. She taps into her inner dragon power, leaps onto the roof, and unleashes a storm of epic proportions, banishing those pesky clouds like a boss. Weather control skills activated. But oh snap, a curious little girl becomes the ultimate witness to this magical spectacle. As Tohru unleashes her power, a sly smirk dances on the girl's lips. In a hushed voice, she whispers, "I've finally found you." Who is this mysterious girl, and what connection does she have to Tohru? The plot thickens, my friends. As night falls, Tohru's caught in a dragon-sized nightmare, reliving the wild events that brought her to the human realm. Fake battles, gods, and sword-wielding drama. It's like her very own Hollywood blockbuster. But fear not, because Kobayashi swoops in like a dreamy guardian angel. She's the ultimate comfort queen, bringing that cozy dragon calming energy to chase away the nightmares. Together, they drift off to sleep, leaving the dragon dramas in the dream world. Before we dive into today's recap, let's unravel what went down in episode 1 for a quick context check. It all began one fine morning when Miss Kobayashi headed off to work, and guess what she encountered? A dragon right at her doorstep. You see, her office worker once saved this dragon's life, and now this fiery creature is determined to repay the debt. And get this, the dragon's a fashionista too. She morphed herself in a cute maid outfit, calling herself Tohru and offering herself up to be Miss Kobayashi's maid. Now you'd think that such a setup would be a recipe for comedy gold, right? Well, you're absolutely correct. That first episode was nothing short of a dragon-sized spectacle. Tohru, in her attempts to be helpful, well, let's just say she has some peculiar ways. She slices and dices up her tail to create meals, which leads to some interesting culinary outcomes. Expect crispy critters instead of dinner if she's cooking. And her laundry technique, well, it's a special kind of lick and clean operation. But hold on to your hats, because these antics continue right into the episode we're talking about. The episode kicks off with Miss Kobayashi and Tohru hitting the shops. Miss Kobayashi can't believe her eyes when she witnesses just how chummy Tohru is with the local shoppers. But according to Tohru, she's merely putting on an act and confesses that she's still clueless about human emotions. I've got to say it's almost baffling how well Tohru has adapted to human society. I mean, remember back in episode 1 when she could barely string a sentence together with people. And now she's practically the life of the party, making friends with everyone at the market. It's like she's the social butterfly I wish I could be. But their cheerful shopping spree takes a wild U-turn when a purse snatcher decides to target an innocent lady. And what I really like about this part is when Tohru, in a moment of unexpected politeness, actually turns to Miss Kobayashi and asks her blessing before confronting the crook. And guess what? She moves faster than a lightning bolt, taking down the thief in a flash. I mean, I'm no expert, but that kind of intervention deserves a standing ovation. Now picture this for a second. You're just strolling through the market, minding your own business, when suddenly a cute girl in a maid outfit appears out of nowhere and delivers a smackdown so intense it practically reshapes the pavement. I don't know about you, but witnessing something like that would have me shouting "Sugoi" from the rooftops. I think at that moment something just clicked between Tohru and Kobayashi. You could sense that they shared this unspoken worry, like, what if people freak out or run for the hills when they find out Tohru isn't your typical cute girl next door? I mean, when Kobayashi sprinted towards Tohru, it was like a giant neon sign saying, "I genuinely care about you," even if she usually gives off an icy vibe. But lo and behold, the folks around them didn't scream or make a run for it. Instead, they clapped and cheered. It was like Tohru and Kobayashi had just won an unexpected talent show. As they strolled out of the shopping center hand in hand, Tohru was beaming and my Geo heart was doing a little happy dance too. But here's where it gets interesting. Neither of them noticed a little girl with horns and a tail spying on them. Is she a friendly neighborhood dragon too, or a secret supervillain? Here's the answer. The spying dragon shows up at Kobayashi's doorstep, and guess what? It's another adorable little girl. Kobayashi welcomes her in, thinking she's Tohru's buddy. This newcomer doesn't exactly come bearing gifts or warm greetings. Nope, not exactly, and in a hilarious mix-up, she mistakenly assumes that Miss Kobayashi is romantically involved with Tohru and issues an ultimatum: break up with Tohru or face dire consequences. The words she uses to communicate her anger are spicy at best and downright insulting at worst.
You cuckold! You slut in glasses!
Okay.
Give her back!
But before we can catch our breath from this comedic misunderstanding, Tohru returns from her shopping spree. And for a second, her jealousy ignites into a flaming madness, but then she recognizes the tiny guest as Kana Kamui, a young dragon who had been on the hunt for Tohru ever since she witnessed her performing some magical cloud-clearing feats a few days ago. Kana, unwavering in her desire to return to their world, demands that Tohru accompany her. However, Tohru's loyalty to Miss Kobayashi stands strong, leading to a rather comical showdown where Kana attempts to attack Miss Kobayashi in her own little cute ways. It turns out, Kana isn't just here for a casual visit. In fact, her presence in this world is a result of a dragon-sized prank that backfired. I think she might have underestimated the consequences, and her powers took a bit of a vacation as part of her punishment. Outright, Miss Kobayashi, being the pragmatic and kind-hearted soul she is, immediately sees an opportunity to help out. She extends a warm invitation to Kana to stay at their place until she gets her powers back. At first, Kana might have been a bit unsure about it, and maybe a tad reluctant. But hey, it's hard to resist Kobayashi's hospitality and the cozy charm of their household. I feel like this is just the beginning. With Kana now part of their quirky household, who knows what adventures lie ahead? And I think it's safe to say that in the world of dragon-sized fun, each day brings its own unique adventures. So, on the next day, Kana has decided that it's high time for some outdoor play with her dragon and human pals Tohru and Kobayashi. As they soar through the skies and land in a peaceful meadow, I feel like their game is going to be quite the spectacle. After all, when you map two dragons in the mix, things are bound to get a bit wild. Poor Kobayashi, who was hoping for a tranquil nap, has her dreams dashed as Tohru and Kana engage in some serious roughhousing that could rival a Goku versus Vegeta battle. Kobayashi, in her ever-practical human wisdom, decides to step in as the referee. She kindly asks the enthusiastic duo to dial down their antics to a more human level. It's quite amusing to watch as Tohru and Kana attempt to mimic Kobayashi's somewhat reserved demeanor. Their imitation of her back aches and constant exhaustion is quite amusing to behold. It's like they're trying to fit into her shoes as a timid human. And you know what? Kobayashi admits that she's got a bit of that timidness in her too. As their day of dragon-sized fun starts winding down, they decide to wrap it up with a friendly game of Shiratori. The next day, Kobayashi resumes her usual routine and heads off to work. I really appreciate this part where Kana has grown attached to Kobayashi. It feels like not too long ago when she was hesitant to even trust Kobayashi. Now it's clear that she's formed a strong attachment to Kobayashi. Anyway, Tohru decides it's the right time to give Kana a taste of the human world. You know, help her blend in and all that jazz. But while Tohru's got the basics of human life down, like not causing traffic mayhem, she's still a tad shaky on some everyday human stuff. I'm talking about simple things like seesaws. Yep, those innocent playground contraptions leave our dragon gal scratching her head. As the day chugs along, Kana being the inquisitive little dragon, she starts firing questions at Tohru. She's like, hey Tohru, why are there so few dragons in this world, and why did you dash off to the human realm? And now Tohru, being an open book, spills the beans. She tells Kana all about her epic dragon battle and how our dear Kobayashi rode in like a knight in shining armor to save the day. That's why Tohru decided to become her maid. It's quite the tall tale, let me tell you. But here's the twist. Kana, with those big innocent eyes of hers, decides she wants to see where Kobayashi clocks in for work. Can you believe it? Two dragons crouched beneath a cozy cloud cover, playing secret agents and spying on Kobayashi while she's grinding away at her job. It's like a dragon-style undercover mission, and it's every bit as funny as you'd imagine. These dragons sure know how to keep things interesting in Kobayashi's world. And that's a wrap on our dragon-sized fun. But don't fret, I've got more in store for you. In the previous episode, we met the adorable Kana as she entered the Kobayashi household. It was quite a spectacle, and I can't get over how cute Kana is. This episode kicks off with a game-changing decision from Kobayashi. She's come to the realization that her current apartment is just too darn small for her, Tohru, and Kana. That cozy little space won't cut it anymore, so the gang's on a mission to pack up and move to a bigger place.
Well, we're moving on now.
During the packing frenzy, the Dragon Girls stumble upon some old photos of Kobayashi. Tohru can't contain her excitement and goes full fangirl mode over the pictures. I mean, why does she adore serious-faced Kobayashi so much? Kana, being the straightforward one, straight up calls out Tohru for being a pervert. It's a hilarious moment that sets the tone for the episode, and I'm loving the vibes. Now you know moving is usually a tedious task, but Dragon Maid magically turns it into a laid-back fun adventure. It's so enjoyable that it almost makes me want to move too. The trio decides on a bigger apartment in the same neighborhood, complete with a communal roof that gives the dragons room to spread their wings. As they settle into their new digs, things get a little steamy because if hand-holding made you blush before. Brace yourself for a bath scene with Tohru and Kobayashi. But hold on before you get any crazy ideas. Let me clarify that this isn't some kind of harem anime. There's a quirky twist to this bathing experience. Kobayashi mentions how she loves it when Tohru cleans for her, but Tohru takes that to a whole new level. She sees cleaning as an essential part of her body. It's an unusual form of dragon humor that's really growing on me. But what's super intriguing is that Tohru doesn't bathe until she's in her dragon form. She even shares her experiences of being a dragon, and let me tell you, it's no walk in the park. She claims to brush her teeth every day, but not with a regular toothbrush. She just picks off the bugs. And since humans have a strong fascination with dragons, she can't stick around in one place for too long. Otherwise, she might end up as a victim to humanity's insanity. To return the favor for Tohru washing Kobayashi, she offers to wash Tohru as well. And off they go to the rooftop with Kobayashi hosing down Tohru's dragon form. No, it's nothing ridiculously perverted, but Tohru enjoys being bathed by Kobayashi nonetheless. I can't help but wonder, is Tohru in some kind of invisible mode? Because if not, the whole world is going to spot her, even if she's on the rooftop. I'm genuinely impressed by how the show blends situational comedy with deep, intimate conversations seamlessly. The next day, Kobayashi is back to her usual grind. You know the drill. Wake up, go to work, work some more, and then return to your old apartment, only to realize you moved to a new one just yesterday. I couldn't help but chuckle at that moment because it's a relatable mix-up we've all kinda experienced. However, the new apartment comes with a twist, new neighbors, and boy are they loud. One neighbor is a rock singer, belting out tunes at the top of their lungs. The other neighbor upstairs seems to be channeling their inner wood-carving maestro, and let's not forget the lady next door. She's particularly fond of cooking vegetables, and she's not shy about letting the whole world know. I mean, really, what kind of vegetable cooking sounds like a rock concert gone wrong? I can totally empathize with Kobayashi here. Imagine you're exhausted from work, nursing a hangover, and all you want is a peaceful day off. Instead, you got these neighbors making a ruckus that could wake the dead. At first, Kobayashi thought Tohru was just being loud like her usual lively self, but that notion made Tohru pretty sad. In the next part of our story, Tohru takes the initiative to deal with their new neighbors and persuade them to lower the noise. Turns out, the lady next door was simply preparing a salad. Now I've got to wonder, how on earth can you make so much noise while making a salad? But rest assured, Tohru successfully convinces her to tone down the salad-making shenanigans. Then let's move on to the neighbor on the right. The look on the guy's face who was blaring that rock music was simply priceless. Tohru even cheekily remarked that his voice was like Hades being squashed by Hercules. But don't worry, that guy took it as a compliment. So Tohru politely asked if he could dial the volume down a bit, and to my surprise, he readily agreed. That's one way to settle the noise dispute. Now onto the neighbor above. Turns out this guy was using a drill for his woodwork, and Tohru managed to convince all of them to dial down the noise. However, it wasn't all smooth sailing. After a bit, it became clear that the three neighbors were in a competition to see who made the most noise. It was a bit comical to watch them argue, especially when they were all utterly shocked to find out that the lady's noise was just her cooking. And Tohru is just one step away from a bloodbath because oh boy, she was ready to literally kill her neighbors. In the end, it's Kobayashi who comes to the rescue, suggesting they create a schedule for their noisy activities. It's a practical approach, just like Kobayashi herself. And here's the part that really grabbed my attention. When Tohru asked Kobayashi if she was a nuisance, Kobayashi simply replied that she didn't have a good answer to that. But she doesn't hate it either. In fact, she's starting to really enjoy her new life with the dragons. The scene deliberately shifts from the muted conversation between Kobayashi and Tohru to an entirely different setting where Kobayashi is sitting alone in her old, cluttered apartment. I feel like this was before Tohru and Kana entered her life. It suggests that Kobayashi in that quiet, lonely apartment was a contrast to what she has now, the two dragons around. So why did she invite these peculiar roommates in the first place? Out of kindness, or perhaps was it because of loneliness? Or maybe I'm just overthinking it. In the final part of the episode, we find Kobayashi skipping her company's outing to host her own little gathering. She invites her coworker, who's also her drinking buddy and fellow otaku from episode 1. Tohru, on the other hand, invites her dragon pals, Fafnir and Quetzalcoatl. Remember that dragon Tohru called in the first couple of episodes? Yes, that's Fafnir, and surprisingly, he makes quite the entrance in his full-blown dragon form, and the shock on Kobayashi's and her friends' faces is pure comedy gold. It's as if they stumbled into a Godzilla meets The Office episode. Tohru eventually persuades Fafnir to change to a more fitting appearance, making him look like he walked straight out of Black Butler. Yep, he went from roar to elegant tea service, and the transition is both surprising and side-splitting. Fafnir remains as gruff and stoic as his voice on the phone from episode 1.
Kill all who try to steal your treasure. Kill all who are suspect. Curse them with death. Curse their generations to come.
Tohru's choice of human attire for him is ill-fitting and really old school, which just adds to the hilarity. Now, on to the arrival of the next dragon, Quetzalcoatl, fondly nicknamed as Luco. Luco has quite the towering presence. Her figure is so prominent that even Kobayashi seems taken aback. She's a beautiful but big-busted dragon who Kobayashi calls out for her supposed slutty appearance. I mean, I don't really consider a tank top and shorts slutty, but hey, different strokes for different folks, right? Their entrance is rather understated as they were invited by Tohru, but it sets the tone for a laid-back housewarming party that perfectly fits the vibe of Dragon Maid. The next scene shifts the focus to Kobayashi's friend Takia, who's engrossed in a video game that by pure coincidence is about dragons versus humans. What's even more surprising is that Fafnir, despite his typically gloomy demeanor, becomes unexpectedly enthusiastic about it. He becomes engrossed in a Dark Souls-like game. The in-show 3D representation of the game is impressively detailed, maybe even rivaling the graphics of the actual Demon's Souls game. During the gaming session, Luco drops a surprising fact on Kobayashi. She tells her that Tohru used to be quite the serious character and rarely flashed a smile. And now she's beaming with happiness thanks to her time with Kobayashi. It's like she's won the lottery or something. Kobayashi also reveals that she wasn't exactly a giggling machine before Tohru came into her life either. But she declares that she would never admit this to Tohru. It's like giving someone a thank you card with an angry emoji on it. Classic Tsundere red behavior, right? As the evening unfolds, a drunk Kobayashi starts going on about maids like there's no tomorrow. Tohru and even Luco notice the change in her demeanor when she's had a few drinks. In fact, Kobayashi even suggests that both of them become her maids and takes it to the extreme by demanding Tohru strip if she won't comply.
God have mercy upon us.
Shy and deadpan Kobayashi is gone, and in her place is the full-blown maid fanatic Kobayashi. It's like her secret obsession has been unleashed and the dragons are left with their jaws on the floor thinking, who is this lady? Her equally drunk coworker is left wide-eyed and red-faced by Kobayashi's drunk demands. Super freak. The episode wraps up with both Kana and Tohru playing a game the next day. Kobayashi amusingly points out that they're the type of gamers who physically move as if their real-life motions control the game like they're in some kind of real-life dance competition. These dragons sure know how to make daily life entertaining. Before we dive into more heartwarming moments, I've got to hand it to Kyoto Animation for bringing this anime to life. The animation and colors are just so comfy and cute, giving us that warm and fuzzy feeling. I personally love the design of the characters' eyes, which is exceptional and really adds to their appeal. Kana's eyes have an icy, ghostly quality that makes you feel like she could freeze or melt your heart with just a look. Tohru's eyes are so fiery, they could probably set things ablaze. Kobayashi's eyes, on the other hand, are like tiny versions of Sauron's, ready to widen in fiery rage at any moment. Then there's Luco, with her eyes each a different color. showcasing an artistic complexity reminiscent of a Mayan mural. I must say, I appreciate the realistic portrayal of Kobayashi's awkwardness when meeting Luko. The fact that she didn't know where to look when greeting her was both relatable and humorous. The boobage was quite distracting, if I say so myself. It's incredible how KyoAni manages to pack so much enjoyment into a single episode. Just another fantastic installment in this series. Hey, are you still watching? Be sure to subscribe and hit that like button for your regular dose of fantastic anime content. Ready for more adorable moments? Don't miss the end of this video because the cuteness keeps on coming.